Argenti's been out for a few days now in Honkai Star Rail, and after doing some testing and seeing gameplay on him, I want to talk about today the best teams and the best characters to use with Argenti. Now, as people probably already know, Argenti's going to be just a basic damage dealer. He does do AoE damage, and he's really good at that, and has a very powerful ultimate with a lot of energy cost to it. So you definitely do want to support him similarly to other DPSs, but you also do want to make sure that he's able to, get as much energy as he can. So, as I do for these team building videos, I split it up into different categories of characters, and I'm going to talk about why each of them, are placed where they are. So starting out with his best support option as just a support character, I do think that Tingyun is the best support character for Argenti by far, and that's going to be because not only does she support his attack, his damage, but also with her ultimate. And Tingyun does get her ultimate pretty quickly. She does regenerate 50 energy for the ally that you use it on, which you should always be using it on your DPS, I feel like. So that'll help Argenti get his energy up. Plus, I believe with one of Tingyun's constellations, you can get an extra 10 energy, so that'll end up being 60 energy, which at that point, that's a third of Argenti's maximum ultimate. So being able to just get that, plus the energy Argenti can restore for himself through his talent, you should be getting those really powerful ults off pretty consistently with these two together. So yeah, I think Tingyun is just the best support for him by far in terms of just like a raw support character. But now, as I get into the best sustained characters for him, there is a really interesting character that I want to talk about first and foremost, being Hua here, because she is a sustained character. She's able to keep allies alive pretty well, but her unique ult, instead of it healing, it will buff the team's attack and restore a little bit of energy for them. That's gonna work very well with Argenti as well, because he wants to get up to 180 energy, and the more things that'll help him get up to that, the better, because if he's able to use that ult, he's able to do some ridiculous damage, especially if he's fighting a bunch of enemies. So having her there, I've seen gameplay of people using Argenti with both Tingyun and Hua, and the combination's kind of ridiculous, because you get your energy back really fast at that point for Argenti, so you're just able to keep using that ultimate, especially, if you want to use an energy regen rope, depending on how you want to build your Argenti. But yeah, these three as a combination is kind of nasty. So I definitely wanted to put a bit of a separate spotlight on Hua, because she could also be up here in support, but I was like, I'll keep her with sustain. She is a harmony character. I'm going to keep her in her role there. But yeah, these two together is a very crazy combo for Argenti for sure. Then also, for best sustains, I have who I think are the two best sustains in the game still. I'll talk more about this when I actually do my full 1.5 tier list, but I do think that for sustains, Xuan and Luocha are still 1 and 2. But yeah, overall, just being able to keep the team alive. They don't provide the offensive support and energy support that Hua gives, so I do think that she is slightly better than them for Argenti specifically. But if you don't have Hua, which I don't blame you because of how bad her banner was, but if you have a Xuan, if you have a Luocha, your team will stay alive, and if you have them properly built, you should be all good regardless. Because the sustain's main role is to keep the team alive. So yeah, those are who I think are the best options. But then of course I do also want to give some other options, because not everyone's gonna have one of these three amazing sustains. Or if you're doing Memory of Chaos, you might need to use one of them on the team that doesn't have Argenti, and then you don't have any of the other ones. So having some other options, and there are good options for him too, but I think these are the characters that will perform the best with him. So for the other support options for Argenti, I pretty much have most of the support characters here. Bronya, I do think Bronya is good, and I think where she is more beneficial for characters, she ends up being better than Tingyun, but I do think Tingyun is just more universally applicable, and Argenti doesn't have the same kind of synergy with Bronya. Sure, he'll be able to attack more, which is nice, but I do think the energy gains from using him with Tingyun is just a little bit more valuable than just the boosted damage for one turn. Then we have Hanya. Hanya works well with Argenti because of her, even though her burn effect can only affect one enemy at a time. Since Argenti's skill and ultimate will hit all enemies, you won't have to worry about specifically targeting different enemies, because Argenti will be able to just skill everyone or ult everyone, and then get the skill point regeneration from the burden effect. Then, just talking about Pela and Silverwolf here together, they're both just going to be good debuffers. Being able to lower, in Pela's case, the entire field's defense, whereas for Silverwolf will probably focus more on the elite enemy that's on the field, or the boss enemy, and just making sure that their defense is lowered, their all types resistance is lowered, so that Argenti can do more damage as well. And then she can also apply the physical weakness too, for those fights that might not have that at the start. So they're definitely very good as well. And then for Asta, your typical kind of support, where she's able to boost the attack of Argenti with her charging stacks, and also be able to raise his speed, so you can go multiple times per cycle. So I do think that she could be very solid, but if you don't have anyone else, then she is free to play. But if you have literally any of the other support characters I've mentioned, I do think that they would be a bit better than Asta. But Asta is still there and still is pretty viable. Then my last category is the other sustained characters, and I think at this point you kind of just need a healer for a lot of situations, especially if you're doing endgame for Memory of Chaos. If you're doing Simulated Universe, you could run Japard. Then Sustained March 7th can work depending on your situation. But I feel like a lot of the times, at least in my experience, it's going to be a lot better to run a healer. And, these three are the other healers in the game. But yeah, I think the only time you don't need like a healer is if you're running Xuan, because she's just a whole different kind of beast. But yeah, for these three healers real quick, I'll kind of just like speed through them. For Bailu, she's just raw healing. If you're running Bronya, you'll have a cleanser on the team, and your Bailu will work pretty well. But if you don't feel like you need cleanse because of how much you're healing, then Bailu can be very helpful with that. Then for Lynx and Natasha, they're both pretty similar. Lynx just has some extra benefits for preservation and destruction characters, so she won't really benefit Argenti as much as some other DPSs, but she is still a very good healing option. And then Natasha, is a good healer, and both of them do have cleanses as well, so they are able to keep your team safe from those enemy debuffs. So yeah, those are all the characters I think are going to work very well with Argenti. And yeah, I do think definitely for sure, if you're running Tingyun and any of the three of these, but especially Hua, like you should be fine, with them plus any other fourth character on the team. But probably just another support, to be honest. Like, yeah, I feel like Argenti, Tingyun, Pela, and Hua would be a kind of crazy team. Because Pela's not really going to use skill points too much. And then, these two are just going to provide some crazy energy support. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below, what team have you been running with Argenti if you have him? Because I'm interested to see what people are running with him. But with that, I'm going to end off the video here. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, definitely be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. But with that, I will see you all next time.